this is going on quite long, but a few more questions and we'll just wrap this up. Yeah,
Okay.
because people don't watch stuff like this long, so I'll cut it up anyways. But like, so there's an immigration problem. So obviously in England, or the UK specifically, there's a housing shortages. People can't, kids are struggling to get places in schools. Doctors who are struggling to get doctor's appointments. Is hospitals, missing A&E wait times. Um, People typically blame this on immigration,
Yeah.
typically now EU immigration, but we know that a certain amount of the NHS are made up by EU migrants.
Yeah.
Doctors and nurses come from the EU, and that the EU does have a standardised qualification for nursing, which is pretty cool, I must say. Um, what do you think about this one? Immigration blamed on housing. The fact that there are obviously not just a lot of EU migrants, but also a lot of non-EU migrants that come to the country. Um, how much does immigration play a part into housing shortages and school shortages and that sort of thing?
So it's a good question because again, more migration means
It's a very nuanced question as well. There's a lot of stuff in this. It's not just a clear-cut answer.
yeah. So more migrants coming in, it means more people. So again, that will definitely create more demand for schools, more demand for GP. Again, you can look from two sides. If the country is not investing, if the migrants come and all work, it will create more money for the country, more tax being paid.
And
So
yeah, and sorry, we know that EU migrants pay more into the system than they get out, which is an important point to make as well. That
okay.
they're not a financial drain. I'm not saying obviously people are people, right? I'm not saying this to say that you've got anyone has anything to prove here, but it's an important point to make that you can't make the argument that EU migrants are a massive problem to the economy because in reality they pay more into the system than they actually get out. So to say that they're causing economic problems is a lie. So just important to point that out there.
Okay, so you see from this point, if they pay more tax and if this would be invested in schools and education, there won't be this issue.
It should be. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, I misheard you for a second. It should be invested into schools and hospitals and training nurses and GPs because they said that, the Conservatives did say that there are going to be 50,000 more nurses, and another one said there will be 50,000 nurses altogether, but they haven't actually said how they're going to recruit that many. And obviously it takes, I think it's 3 years to become a nurse.
3-4 years.
So
Yeah.
3-4 years. So unless you're going to train 20,000 in the space of a year and 2 years, that's simply not going to happen. And we know that getting nurses from the EU is going to be a problem because a lot of them have left. Or not a lot of them have left, but some of them are leaving because A, they don't feel welcome here, and B, there's a lot of racial abuse within the NHS, which is probably the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. That you would racially abuse a nurse or a doctor. Probably one of the dumbest things any human being can do.
You can look at this in two different points. So first, if everyone from Europe is leaving, another they can open education opportunities in terms of nurses to people like, I know that people from Philippines and countries like Kenya, Ghana, people come here to learn how to be a nurse. So they can open up the opportunities for these people as well if they would like to recruit international people.
They could already do that. That's the thing. Like,
They do, but like just expand to give more places. And this will mean that because these are international students, they will pay, so the country doesn't really lose. If they would like to recruit people from UK, I see this a bit difficult because first, UK students have access to grants and like the loan,
Yeah.
the study loan, and that's how they pay for their education, usually through the loan. International students don't have access to that, so this will come the issue: would the students be keen on paying it by themselves, or does the government have enough money to give the loans in this way
to these
to the
people.
students? So this comes like the financial issue as well, and again, how many people need to be hired to train them as
It's a
well?
massive, yeah, that's true. That's something I didn't think about. But also the problem that, kind of in like an impromptu interview or a meeting with some nurses, one nurse was saying that obviously the bursary was cut, that affected her. So she must have been pretty new, even though she looks slightly older. And obviously, tuition fees are also affecting her as well. And then Johnson said that they're putting back in the nurse's bursary. So they're basically admitting that they were wrong to cut that in the first place. But also, charging, nurses and doctors tuition fees is probably is quite stupid as well, because the impact they're going to have on the economy is massive.
Yes, and there are shortages already.
And so surely that's an incentive to get these people into these fields,
Yeah.
so there won't be any tuition fees so long as you finish. And then there's also a secondary problem of NHS staff being poached by other countries, like Australia. So like someone trains to be like a nurse or a doctor here, and then they go to Australia. Slick. There's slick guys there. you know,
Maybe to look at how
the
Australia.
contracts are structured. Maybe say that we won't pay, we won't actually pay tuition fees, but we want you to work for the NHS for 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
That would be something far more effective
Yeah.
than
Stability at work.
yeah,
Security.
something far more effective than saying that okay, we've trained you now, and it's like all right, cool, I'm going to Australia, like, but why? And it's like they're going to pay me more because they don't go through the training process.
Yeah.
They save money. So them Australians are very smart. But okay, going back to that, obviously we know the key problem is the UK is not building enough schools, enough hospitals. The infrastructure is poor, is rubbish, and so realistically, it is not the fault of migrants. It's the fault of successive governments of not building enough housing.
Yes, that's true. And another question comes: where then all these taxes go? Where do the money go? Because we see cuts everywhere.
Yeah.
And
well, they would say it's going to the debt and the deficit.
So yeah, it's going. The economy is definitely going down because we see a lot of companies going away, a lot of companies making
There was,
cuts.
not a recession, because I think a recession is two successive what's it called, quarters of economic negative growth, is it? So there was a fears of a recession.
Yeah.
Really big fears. So yeah, it's not looking too positive. But then there's a global slowdown as well. Germany, I think, almost had a technical recession. I think sometime this year. They had an economic slowdown partly because of the stupid tariffs that Trump put on to products, because that guy's a psycho. But yeah, so obviously the more people that come in, you need to build more houses, more schools, you need more teachers. But obviously we haven't put the groundwork in to do that. That's why there are problems here.
Yeah.
And there'll still be massive amounts of people coming in. If it's not from the EU, it'll be from
It will be other countries.
From non-EU countries.
Yes. So the migration took place in this world how many thousands of years, and
non-EU migration is about the same, I think, as EU migration. Anyways, I think it's flipped slightly because there are less EU migrants coming here than there were in previous years, especially pre-Brexit.
There are 3 million EU people in UK, and there are about 2.5 million UK people in EU. So it's kind of both sides.
Oh, yeah, that's quite interesting. Yeah, because there are problems with them, and a lot of the old timers in Spain are going to have some real problems.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how they voted. But yeah, like I don't know if I sent you the video. I sent it to Clara, where it was basically one guy saying that I didn't think they would end freedom of movement for proper Europeans. Did I send you that one?
No.
Oh man, it was on Channel 4 and it's brilliant. And he was like, they might end pet passports as well. And so the guy was like, he's so arrogant. He was like, I didn't think they would end it for proper Europeans. So I asked Clara, I was like, what do you think he means by proper Europeans?
Yeah.
Like, who the hell are proper Europeans? Like, what does that even mean?
If to look European Union, okay, but by continent we're all Europeans.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
like, is he saying like, yeah, we're going to get rid of like Croatia's freedom of movement rights, but we're going to keep Britain because, yeah, they're so stupid. Like, some of these people are so arrogant, it's unreal. And so I think that answers that question of the immigration problem. It's not really an immigration problem; it's more of a housing and social care problem that's caused by obviously a lot of people coming in, but also a lot of people that are already here. And the fact that the legwork, the groundwork hasn't been put in to invest into these systems. Because even if we had less EU immigration or immigration overall, in 10 years' time there'll still be a population increase, and so we'd still have these problems.
Yeah, but population is not increasing as much now.
It's not that people having less kids, which is...
Less kids, but it means, baby boomers who were born in 40s.
Okay, boomer. Have you seen that? Okay, boomer. Oh, everyone says, oh, it's so funny. Every time I see someone put that, I just laugh. It's so bad and immature, but it's just great. And so sorry, carry on. Yeah.
No. I'm just saying the age pyramid. It's less youth, more people that are.
More older people. That's the problem in China as well.
Yeah.
The one-child policy.
Yes.
So I think the answer to that question, I think it is down to more a lack of investment rather than just an increase of people. It is two sides to this, but they haven't increased the amount of schools. I think they're struggling to recruit teachers as well. Purely because the teachers, A, they don't get paid enough, and B, they're well overworked, and C, kids are mad disrespectful.
Yes, that's what I've heard. There were a few cases where teachers just jumped over the window, I've heard.
Jumped out of a window?
Yeah, or just broke the window to go out of a class, things like that.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
not sure. Just have heard that, but I don't want to believe.